Alright, greetings and welcome back, gentles and ladiesmen, to another Shrek-siding episode of Star Fox Zero. I'm ExoParadigmGamer, and as with the last couple of episodes, I brought along a special guest to help me commentate and provide some additional perspective on this game. Please introduce yourself, fine sir.
Hello everyone, I am Ryan from TheRyanSucksAtVideoGames. Thank you so much for having me on here, and I love seeing, you know, these little spaceships shoot a gorilla up the butt. It's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. You know, I don't really care. I mean, I guess you said so in your last part. They're gonna have people that don't really care much for this game. You know, and I don't like this game that much, but I do like this boss fight just because you get to shoot it in the butt. That made me laugh.
Mm-hmm. Well, but did you actually enjoy fighting the boss?
It was alright. It was.
So you didn't have too much trouble with this one?
I was able to do it on my first try, but my first try took me a good while to do. Because, you know, like what everyone says with this game, the controls do take a lot of getting used to, and I accustomed to the controls well enough to where, you know,
you could get along, you know?
I could get along with it, but I still wasn't having the fun that I had with Star Fox 64 or Assault. It was just kind of like, yeah, I did it, yay. But this boss was actually pretty fun for me. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, like, for me, it was kind of the opposite. I think out of all the bosses in this game, this is probably the one that gave you the most shit.
Really?
Yeah, because, well, I mean, like, and I didn't really have much trouble with any of the previous bosses, like, even the attack carrier and Sector Omega from the last part. Like, I died once, but it was because I tried to stand on it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
With this one, it's just, I think Nick explained it pretty well in the last episode. If you try to take it on like you would in any other Star Fox game, like just trying to point and shoot at it, that's not going to really work out for you. Like, the game, I think, expects you to take it on as the walker, and I'm not doing that.
I mean, I was able to do, like, kind of what you're doing, where you're just flying around it and stuff.
I mean,
that's how I was able to
do it.
Yeah.
And it can work, but it's just, like, the optimal way to fight it, and the way how I eventually do defeat it, on my third try, because he kills me twice, is by using the walker to sort of, like, stand and keep shooting at him. Because, like, when you're the walker, you're not, like, moving, because, like, if I were to fight this boss again, I'd probably use, like, the walker to keep the heat on his, like, hand cannon things and on his butt cheeks there. You know.
I love it.
Ooh, yeah. One thing that I should note is if you're going after medals is if you have him crash into one of the buildings off to the right, there's a medal hidden in that.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ryan, you've already sort of gotten into this already, but what are your overall impressions of Star Fox Zero for the Nintendo Wii U? Oh,
it's just hands down the worst game I've ever played. It is a big piece of poop, and I don't like it. But no, I don't know. I didn't like it. Because if it wasn't the controls that were giving me problems, it was just that I wasn't really having too much fun with the game. Like with the I didn't really like controlling the Landmaster or the thing that it transforms into. I didn't like the helicopter thing. I didn't like going in all range mode. I didn't like using the walker. Really, like the only thing that I liked, and I genuinely do like it, is when, you know, you're just going around, like in the first level, the Corneria level. Like, that was fun, and I also noticed that you can get away with playing the game, you know, without the motion controls, and you can use your ship to actually, like you and Nick would always say this during the podcast episode, where, you know, in order to aim, you have to move your ship directly in front of the enemy, and I kind of like that, if I'm being completely honest. I think it works fine for what it is, and it also has, like, a risk versus reward kind of thing. It's like, okay, well, do I risk putting myself out there to get some extra hits, but I might also take some damage, or do I play more defense and just try to, like, avoid people? I kind of like that.
Are you talking about in the other games or in this game?
In the other games. In this game, like I said, this game kind of has
I mean,
it
like,
too.
the other games were designed with that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, in this game, the enemies are a lot more aggressive, so if you try to stand in front of them, you know, you're gonna get hit a lot more.
Yeah, I noticed that when it's all ranged mode, but like I said, if it's like the first level Corneria or the the Sector Omega is the one where you're going through the black holes like really fast.
Yeah, there's the medal I was talking about.
Oh, there it is. It kind of when you're getting medals in this game, it kind of reminds me of. You ever played the Spider-Man game on the PlayStation 1?
No.
Well, in that game, well, first of all, you should play it. It's really good. And secondly, you can collect comic books that they give you like extra costumes and stuff, and it's kind of like they kind of hide them in weird places. Like you have to do some weird things. Like there's one where you have to destroy, like you're in the Daily Bugle and you have to destroy all pieces of the furniture that are inside in order to get a comic book. It's like stuff like that reminded me of this. So it's kind of cool how they do that. I like it when games do that.
Alright. Just like have little collectibles to keep you doing little obscure shit.
Yeah, because like I remember when I was I don't remember what exactly I was doing, but like when I got a medal, I would just like randomly get medals from time to time in this game. I'm like, oh, okay, I like that. I think more games should have stuff like that.
So maybe it's kind of a spoiler for your upcoming review, Ryan. But what did you think of the blue coins in Super Mario Sunshine? Surely you got all of them, all 240.
No, I did not. Wait, how many are there?
There are 240 of them.
240?
Yeah.
I think in my first file that I have, like my first time I beat the game, because I beat the game twice. Why am I not
slipping? What am I doing?
That? Oh.
I'm just trying to figure out why it is that I'm not doing like a somersault to get away from those missiles. So like this is my big problem with this boss, just to cut you off real quick, is that
you're good.
In order to defeat him, you have to activate that little terminal on his ass. But the problem is trying to land on the fucking... Because like you only have that teeny tiny little flap, and it's just like, if you hit him, you bounce off. And it's too high to just jump up there, using the hover. But like, I think if I were to try it the way Nick suggested on the last part, like he suggests transforming and then hovering down to the little platform, maybe that works a little better. But for some reason, it never occurred to me to try that. But because of that, it took me like 6 or 7 tries to get in that little flap, and he was able to kill me twice in the intervening period. Yeah, you see that? Like it's like the walker always seems to go off to the side, no matter how like perfectly straight shotted you get on towards that little platform. So, but anyways, as you were saying.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I think I got like about 20 or 30 blue coins when I beat the game. Like that, like when the credits rolled and everything like that, it said that I got like 20 or 30 blue coins. I'm like, oh, okay, because I knew there was like a lot of them, so I don't think getting. And I didn't know, like I would just see like a thing marked on a wall and I would spray it and a blue coin would pop up. I'm like, oh, okay, I might as well just take it.
There are much more obscure ones too. Like in another issue with it is that some of the coins are episode dependent, so like depending on what shine you pick, you may or may not be able to get a certain blue coin. Like, I think a good example is in episode 8 of Bianco Hills, like the one where you gotta go get the red coins on the windmills, the giant windmills near the lake, is in that level there's like a palm tree on the edge of the lake near that little bridge that leads up to the giant windmill. And like if you just randomly spray it, a blue coin just pops out.
I think I remember seeing something like that on your playthrough, because I watched every single episode of your playthrough, because I didn't want to go into that game complete. Oh, you died. Yeah. Whoops. But I didn't want to go into that game like completely blind, because I think if I went into it blind, I would not have liked it.
So, but does that mean that you did like it, Ryan?
What, Mario Sunshine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
All right. Because like, in case if you guys aren't familiar with Ryan, he's not a huge fan of Super Mario. He likes some of the games, but for the most part, I don't know. Maybe you can explain it better than I can.
Honestly, it's like and I also kind of talk about this in my video of Sunshine as well, where there's like people would constantly say, like, the original Super Mario Brothers, for example, oh, this game, it was so revolutionary and it saved the gaming industry for North America, so therefore it is good. And it's like, when I played it, it's like, yeah, okay, it's good, not great. And then they get so upset, it's like, oh no, this game cannot be anything less than perfection and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I mean, like, even as a because like I fucking love Mario and everything about him, but I totally agree with you. Like, I still like Super Mario Brothers 1 well enough, but it's not like a perfect, perfect masterpiece or anything like that. Like I even mentioned the fact that there are no limited continues. Like, there really should have been unlimited continues in the game. That should not have been a cheat code you have to enter on the game over screen. There's no reason that, I don't know. I prefer the remake versions. Yeah, like, after like 6 or 7 tries, I actually finally landed up there and deactivated the guy.
Yay!
So now we can kind of move on. It's just like, I don't know, that just feels like an awkward way to kill a boss.
It really is. Like, maybe if you could, like, shoot it, like, well, I guess you had to do that for, like, the first half of the fight, but,
Yeah, I'd prefer to have just shot it until I blew it up or something like that. Yeah. Because, like, trying to hack a moving target is, I don't know, I wasn't a huge fan of that. That was like, the one boss in the game where I was just like, this was maybe not a super great idea.
They had to incorporate the walker somehow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, they do that for a couple of other bosses, like the core thing you fight in the second level in that giant ship. But, yeah, so... One thing that really bothered me, because, like, you guys can't tell this because there's no voice acting recorded for this playthrough, but when Andross's mouth was moving, it wasn't synchronized with his voice acting. Maybe it's synchronized with the Japanese voice acting? But if that's the case, it's just, come on, this is a 2016 game. Bother to lip sync your game's pulls. This isn't the late 90s. This isn't
Sonic Adventure. Come on, guys.
Yeah. I don't know, like, is lip syncing really that expensive that we can't afford to do it? I don't know.
I mean, I can't really speak for them, but like I do know that lip syncing would be hard to do because animating is
it is time intensive. I used to do some animation stuff way back when, but. But here we get some... This is kind of where the story in this game diverges from 64. Is like the whole teleporter thing is kind of like the new plot element they introduce. Essentially, Andross helped develop this technology, but he sort of... Yeah, he grew mad with power and claimed the technology for his own twisted purposes. And that's... You want to know what's weird, though? Is have you ever seen a show called Mystery Science Theater 3000?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Like, there's a character on it named Tom Servo, and he's sort of like a gumball machine-looking robot character.
Okay.
And he's got sort of like a beak for a mouth, and he has no eyes, but I swear to God that, like, if I didn't know any better, I'd think that General Pepper is voiced by Tom Servo. Like,
in this game?
Yeah, well, like, in this game, in 64 and 64 3D, like, it's the same fucking voice.
We need your help, Star Fox. Andross has declared war. He's invaded the Lilat system and is trying to take over Corneria. Our army alone can't do the job. Hurry, Star Fox.
Women, 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 women. For you young fellows fresh on the cusp of a blooming manhood, the questions abound. What are women like? What do women want? How should I treat a woman? Perhaps the thorniest problem facing any young man is finding a woman in the first place.
I mean, like, I'm almost certain it's not the same exact guy, but it's like I genuinely thought I was listening to Tom Servo the first time I played this game.
Is the voice actors from Star Fox Zero the same as Star Fox 64 3D?
I believe they are. Yes.
Huh. Okay.
And if not that, I think it's the same as the 64 version. Like, I said in like the first episode that I thought that the voice actors for 64 were just like people from the localization department, but apparently I was wrong about that, and they are actually professional voice actors. Yeah. Could have fooled me, but I don't know. Could you just tell us a little more about what you think of
this game?
Yeah, just like, because like I do think you have. I'd like you to get more into your critiques, I guess.
Okay.
Just so that people get to hear some from someone other than me, I guess.
Okay. Well, pretty much, I covered just about everything I needed to say about this game on the podcast episode that I was on, where we talked about this game with Nick.
Yep.
So I guess I should just, go over what I said on on the podcast then?
Yeah, well, yes. Just
okay.
Whatever you'd like to say, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't think this game is straight up bad, because, I mean, there were moments that I genuinely enjoyed, and some of the positive things I can say about this game is that it absolutely nails the sense of speed and the sense of scope, because this game is much bigger than anything that Star Fox 64 had to offer, and it's a lot faster than Star Fox 64. That much is for sure. I mean, need I bring up the Sector Omega level? That is like my favorite part of this game. It was so much fun. But my biggest problem is not that the motion controls exist, because, I mean, I do know that's a lot of problem for people, is that, oh, well, it has motion controls, so I'm not touching it. It's rather that there's no other option for motion controls. And, you know, as you and a couple of others said, that, you know, this game was designed around motion controls, and that's fine. But then I would argue that there have been other motion control focused games that were designed with motion controls in mind, that had GameCube controller support, that had Pro controller support, Wiimote and Nunchuck controller support. So
could you provide an example?
Sin and Punishment Star Successor on the Nintendo Wii is my go-to example.
Okay.
That game is very similar to, well, I don't want to say it's very similar, because, like, really the only thing it has in common is that it's an on-rail arcade-like shooter. But it was designed to be used with the Wii Remote and the Nunchuck. But if you don't like that, you can use the GameCube controller, or you can use the Pro controller. It's a lot harder that way, and it's honestly not as responsive that way, but the option is still there. So I think if this game had you know, multiple controller support, even if it was just the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, I think that would have included more people. And you brought this up on the podcast as well, if there was, like, a way how we can adjust the sensitivity of the motion controls.
Yeah, because, like, when we were on the podcast, Ryan mentioned that he has shaky hands, and he can't really help that. So, like, when he's trying to play this game with the gamepad, you know, like, when you just got a little flat tablet, basically, in your hands, and that's how you're aiming and shooting at stuff, and you've got shaky hands, that's kind of a problem. But I think an easy way to fix that would have just been to have a sensitivity option. So, like, depending on how far you move it. But the only issue there is because it's a flat tablet, you know, like, you don't have as much room to maneuver it around. It's not like the Wii Remote where you point it and you can, like, move it off to the side and all around and everything. So, like, I think that's probably why there was no sensitivity option, but, you know, still, like, if you have naturally shaky hands and you can't help that I mean, like, then I totally understand if you do not like Star Fox Zero. That's a perfectly legitimate reason to dislike the controls. Because if they're not working with your physiology, then, you know. But yeah. So
go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I think this is probably my favorite Star Wolf fight in the entire series.
No, I did not like this fight one bit.
I mean, like, really, because, like, the problem with Star Wolf in the other games is they're either way too they're, like, either way too maneuverable and you can't get a beat on them, or they're way too slow and too easy, you know? Because in Star Fox Assault, you fight them at the Sargasso space station, I think, and it's just, like, they move around so slowly, even on the high difficulty. They barely do loops. Like, it's really easy to get a beat on them, and for that reason, it's like that fight is harmless, but not exactly challenging, you know?
Yeah.
But then you play Star Fox 64, where, like, they loop around all over the place, and they're way too fast, and you can never keep track of where they're going, and you can never figure out where they are so that you can hit them.
Really,
and,
that was only the one time on Venom. Like,
yeah, but I mean, like, on Ficina, they're fine.
Yeah.
But on Venom 2, they're, like, nearly impossible, unless if you have all your teammates alive to act as cannon fodder.
Wasn't there another place where you fight them, too? It's like some kind of satellite place?
Yes.
Yeah. I
don't remember much about that one, because I think how that works is that if you don't fight them on Ficina, then you fight them there.
You fight them there.
But it's just, I always end up going to Ficina anyway, so it's like... So I can't comment on that one. Maybe that one's a little better. But the one on Venom 2 is just... I've never liked that one.
And I will agree with that. You know, the fight on Venom 2 always gave me a lot of shit, but honestly, I had a harder time with this fight than I did with Venom 2, honestly.
Oh, with this one, the difference is that you have target view. So you can keep track of where they're going at all times. And, you know, so, like, losing them was never an issue for me. Like, I mean, like, even if they, like, loop around, I can just lock onto another guy and keep the beat on him. And, you know, like, and also it seems like charge shots actually work on them. Like in 64, I swear if you try to use a charge shot on Starwolf, then they just bounce off or something.
Yeah.
So like, just those little touches. So you get a fight that's as fast-paced and frantic as Star Fox 64, but not nearly as what's a good word to describe it? I guess artificially difficult. Or just easier to keep track. Like,
it's easier to keep track of in this game.
They're challenging, but you can still keep track of them and keep the beat on them. So like, it's kind of like combining. It just felt like the best Starwolf fight to me.
I mean, I see why, because I mean, like, the target view does help. I mean, it's right in front of me. Yeah, it's helping. Well, it's helping you anyways. It didn't really help me though, and I'm not sure why. I mean, I used it, but I kept dying at this part. I think it's also. Oh, go ahead.
I've said it repeatedly throughout the playthrough, but I really don't feel like target view was something that really clicked with me right away. Because it's one of those things where if you asked me to, I couldn't really explain how you use it. So like that is kind of a problem when like, because like by this point in the game I'd kind of figured out how it works. So like when I got to Starwolf 2, I was just like, oh, if I use this, that'll make them so much more manageable. But if you've gotten to this point and you haven't really figured that out, because it's not exactly the most intuitive mechanic in the world, then yeah, you're probably gonna have trouble with this boss fight.
My problem was that, you know, they would turn into the, they would turn into like the little wolf things, and that, for me, it made it hard to see. You know, I guess, some people are going to have like an easier time with it, they have better vision. But whenever they would turn into like the little wolf thing, which I do like that. I think their design is so fucking cool. But I don't know. For me, they were so small, and it made it hard to look, or it made it hard to look for them. But you know,
I guess like then I mean like they have like little markers on them.
Yeah.
And so like that at least kind of helps to highlight them, but I can kind of see where you're going with there.
Yeah, I mean, I said this in the podcast, and I'll say it here. This game is very similar to the likes of, Skyward Sword or Sonic Lost World, where, you can't go based off what the critics say, or even what, just people like us say. It's something that you're going to have to play for yourself in order to, form an opinion on, because it's going to click with some people, and for others, it won't. So.
Yeah, so, like, but that, again, I kind of mentioned it, like, we're done with the part, but we can keep going here. But I sort of mentioned this on the podcast, but it's kind of a shame then that there isn't a demo that people can download to try and see if they like what they see.
See, I kind of see.
You have to drop the full $60 if you want to try it, and that's not an investment everyone's going to want to make.
And what's interesting, though, or like I can see why they wouldn't want to release a demo before this game released, because if they did, and people tried it and they're like, oh no, I don't like this, it's not for me, they're not gonna buy it. So. Yeah. And it's kind of like what they did with Sonic Lost World, where they waited like a month or so after the game released and then released the demo. But, I think they might release a demo later down the road when they realize, oh wait, no, this game is not selling very well. We need to push sales just a little bit harder, to get more people out there. But honestly, I think it might be even too late for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I more or less agree with you, because like I guess my issue is like I do appreciate your agnosticism about this, like just saying like that it's more or less you don't think the game's terrible, but it just the control scheme didn't work for you for one reason or another. But you could still make it through and enjoy the moments that you enjoyed. But I guess my problem is that you also have people like that Jim Sterling review I keep bringing up, where it's just like the people who like this, like aren't in their right mind, and this game is a dumpster game that belongs in a toilet and stuff like that. It's just like, this game is objectively bad, and Nintendo should have just known better to not put motion controls in. And it's just that I guess that's more what I have a problem with here, is just like, if you don't like motion controls and they don't work for you, that's fine. But for other people like me, for me, they've always just clicked with me. I always enjoy using them more than sticks. So like when you have a game that's designed around that and tries to take that to its full potential, that's really interesting and enjoyable for me. But I know I understand that's not going to be for everybody, but that doesn't mean that the game's, like, horrible because it doesn't appeal to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It just means that the game was designed with a different group of people in mind. It wasn't made for people who don't like motion controls. It was made for people who do like motion controls. But with me, it's a little weird because I can get behind motion controls if the controller is designed around it. And to me, this is, motion controls are completely subjective here. Mm-hmm. But, like the gamepad's motion controls, the 3DS motion controls, the PlayStation 3's motion controls, they don't work well for me. I don't like the gyro controls. Oh, and I'm getting notifications. Oh, okay.
From King K.
Okay. All right. But I also stand by what I said that, I don't agree with Jim Sterling's harshness. Like, I don't think, people who enjoy this game, they're stupid or there's something wrong with them. Because I think that's kind of silly to assume because it's, like I said before, it's going to work with some people and for others it's not. But I do agree with his stance on the fact that they innovated on a franchise that didn't need innovation. It just needed a new game. And I think we should have gotten a new game first, and then they could have experimented with the motion controls with another game. I think maybe if they made Star Fox 64 3D its own game, because I did hear that a lot too with some critics where they're like, yeah, it's a good remake, but I wish it was a new Star Fox game. I heard that a lot. And I think if they made Star Fox 64 3D just its own game, like kind of like a retro revival of Star Fox 64, because like a lot of franchises were getting retro revivals back then. Like Mario got it, Sonic got it, Mega Man, Zelda. They all got like retro revivals, but they kind of wasted theirs on a remake. So now when Star Fox Zero comes out and it looks a lot like Star Fox 64, it doesn't have the same impact that it could have.
Yeah.
So I think if they just made just a regular, just play it safe, just a retro revival of Star Fox 64, or even the SNES game, it would have been fine. And then if this game would have come out afterwards, people would have been like, oh yeah, sure, it's fine. Like maybe they would have been more forgiving or more forgiving of it because they would have that other game to fall back on. We say this repeatedly on the podcast a lot about a lot of franchises, but it's just like, I hope that Nintendo doesn't look at the sales of this and it's just like, oh, they just don't like Star Fox, so let's not make that anymore. I just think we need to be vocal about it then. Yeah. I think we need to be more vocal about it. Just make.
Just like, I think we've discovered increasingly that Nintendo does not listen to its American fans.
Then we make them listen. We grab them by the shirt collar, slam them against a wall, and say, like, listen here.
Even with like Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii, it was just like originally that wasn't going to come out in this region. Mm-hmm. I don't know the logic behind that, but it wasn't going to. So there was that Operation Rainfall, I think was that. Yep. And it's just like, so people petitioned and complained until Nintendo finally did do it, and then they're just like, oh yeah, this Operation Rainfall had no effect on our decision.
It did.
And it's just like, that's like they're trying to pretend that the fans don't have a voice. It's just instead of just saying, oh yeah, the fans demanded it, here it is, like they didn't have to mention Rainfall, but it's just the reason they did it, if I had to speculate anyway, is the reason like they pretended that Operation Rainfall didn't have any input is because they don't want people to think that they have a voice.
Yeah.
Or that they can organize and get things out of them. And so like, I don't know, like that, Nintendo has some PR issues they need to work out, but yeah. Anything else you'd like to say about Star Fox Zero before we wrap up here?
Like I said, I don't really like this game, and I would like to see just another Star Fox game because I know Miyamoto hates that. It's like, oh, why would you want just another Star Fox game? Rah! I would like to see that in the future. And I don't care if other people like this game. If anything, I'm happy that other people are enjoying this game. And I'm happy to see people going out and defending this game. Because, I didn't want to dislike this game. I'm not the biggest Star Fox fan. But, I didn't want this game to do bad either. I don't want to sound like a hipster or anything like that. But I wanted to be the only person to say, no, I don't like this game. I wanted everyone to enjoy this game. Because, why would I go out and say, oh no, I hope people don't like this game because it has motion controls? I want people to enjoy this game. I want people to be happy. And I'm happy to see that people are getting a kick out of this game. So, this playthrough of yours is actually pretty refreshing, and I'm glad to, I'm glad that you're enjoying it. While I'm glad you can see something that I can't.
Right. So, thanks, Ryan. But, so yeah, that pretty much wraps up the episode here. If you'd like to go check out Ryan, he is from TheRyanSucksAtVideoGames. I'll put up an annotation as usual. You can go check him out here. Could you tell us a little bit more about what you do on your channel, Ryan?
Well, occasionally we do live streams, and currently I am working. I try to talk mostly about GameCube games, and I try to shine light on some of the lesser known GameCube and Game Boy Advance games, because Lord knows there are way too many overlooked Nintendo games out there, but. I try to keep things optimistic on my channel. I talk about games that I like, and even when I talk about games that I don't like or games that are just bad, I try to look at it through a positive point of view. It's me exercising my optimism. So, if you like that kind of stuff, then I hope you check out my channel, and I hope I can entertain you.
Yep. Please do go check them out, folks, because both Brian and King K are just... they make such great content, but I feel like the quality of the content does not reflect their viewership. Or, or vice versa. So please do go check them out, and consider subscribing, because I think it would mean the world to both of these guys.
I do appreciate that. Also, if you don't mind, I would like to plug something in real quick.
Sure.
Okay, so this Saturday at 9 o'clock through 6:30 in Eastern Time, I'm going to be heading to a convention in the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando, Florida, known as MegaCon. So if you're gonna go, feel free to say hello. We'll take, I'm gonna be taking pictures. I'm gonna be recording some video stuff. And it's gonna be a great old time. So if anyone here is watching that's in Orlando, Florida, go to MegaCon. It's a lot of fun. Take my word for it.
Yep. That's right. So, is there something you're working on right now that you think that you'd like to plug here on your channel?
I am working on 5 projects at once at the current moment. I am working the most recent thing that you're going to see on my channel is Why I Love the GameCube on Mario Sunshine, and that should be coming up pretty soon. I'm just about done with the script. But after that, I'm going to be taking about a 2-month break, and I'm going to come back on August 1st, because I got some big plans. I got some stuff I want to talk about come August, and it's going to take the entire month to get everything out. So I hope you look forward to that.
Sounds cool. But Ryan's next review that will be coming out is, we sort of already mentioned this, but he's reviewing Super Mario Sunshine. So
woo!
if you'd like to hear the perspective of someone who did not grow up with the game and who is, not really a fan of Mario per se, and just sort of giving his perspective on the game, look forward to that and check that out as well. That should be coming out relatively soon, right, Ryan?
Hopefully.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, thank you for joining me, Ryan, and yeah, join me next time on ExoPlay Star Fox Zero for the final part, for the finale, and I will be having the last member of the Unversed Cast here. You guys all know him. He has a big poofy blonde afro and a pair of glasses he doesn't really wear in real life. So yeah, join us next time, and I will finally do a collab on my channel with that fellow.
Yay!
So see you guys then.
Have a good one, everyone.